Hey, what are you looking at? Do you want to hear a story about an NFT game that had the potential to be okay? No? Well, too bad. I'm telling it anyways. Explosion! Welcome to a series where I play NFT games so you don't have to. So kick back, relax, and enjoy the show. This is the worst NFT game ? Today, we're going into a game that I've been waiting to play for a while now, since I missed their previous open betas. And that game is... Wanderers. Try saying that 10 times real fast. Wanderers is a sci-fi based roguelite with card collecting and deck building elements. Reading that single line definitely sounded alarm bells in my head, since card collecting is the most commonly used and exploited genre for NFT projects. And roguelite, the mechanic of dying, losing all your stuff, and starting again, pretty much a match made in heaven for NFTs. And today, we're lucky enough to experience both at the same time. Although to be fair, you might not lose anything when you die here, which hopefully is the case. Looking at the trailer, it's a top-down hack and slash game, akin to something like Hades, and I'm not gonna lie, it actually looks pretty good. Maybe it's because I have pretty low standards for NFT games, but the distinct art style and functional looking gameplay gives me some hope that this could possibly be an okay game. At least compared to what we've seen so far. Can't wait to see how NFTs ruin this one. This game released on the 31st of July 2024. And of course is still in early access with co-op, PvP, the level editor, and new stuff coming soon. FAQs say your typical NFT developer answers, with NFTs to be used as ownership for user-generated content, no need to interact with the blockchain, etc, etc. They do say that there is functionality for NFTs, but there isn't an implemented store as of yet. They also estimate the game will be fully released sometime in Q2 of 2025, where it will continue as a live service. Now, Wanderers is being developed by Blowfish Studios, with the publisher Wonder Labs and Blowfish Studios. I'm not entirely sure how that works out, but alright. Wonder Labs, I assume, is the IP holder for Wanderers, and I guess they outsource development to another studio, which might be for the best depending on how good of a developer they are. So, let's take a look at our developer, Blowfish Studios. This studio is based in Sydney, Australia, and are apparently an award-winning developer and publisher. They were founded in 2008, which is a pretty long time. According to this graph, they had at some point over 100 employees, making them probably one of the biggest developers on this series, but recently saw a significant decrease in employees, with at least 30 of them being made redundant earlier this year, having only 47 employees left at the time of my research, which is pretty alarming. Now, due to just how long this group has been operating for and how big their studio is, I'm not going to be looking at individual members. Rather, I'm going to see their experience through the games they've delivered. Taking a look at their website, they boast a very large amount of games, with 28 being available and 4 more on the way, although the majority of them seem to be as a publisher. Now, something that I noticed that made me a bit wary is that they currently have 2 games that they are personally working on with other studios, on top of developing Wanderers. I don't know if having a team of 47 will allow you to develop multiple games at once, but I always get a bit worried when that happens. Oh well, I'm not a game developer, so maybe I'm just overthinking it. Now, I was initially unsure if Blowfish was actually developing Wanderers because, once again, they don't mention it on their website. I decided to do a quick Google search just to be sure. And sure enough, they did get hired to work on it. But I did find something else that was interesting. Blowfish Studios apparently got bought out by Animoca Brands, which is a company wholly focused on blockchain gaming and NFTs. And you've probably heard of them since they're the ones responsible for The Sandbox, one of the most infamous metaverses that was released during the NFT boom, having partnered with big names like Paris Hilton, Snoop Dogg, FaZe Clan. So Blowfish has big money behind them. Why they needed to lay off 30 employees, quietly by the way, I don't know. But enough of that, time to look at Blowfish's gaming portfolio. And luckily, a lot of their games are on Steam. Now, I'm going to look at the games that Blowfish themselves have made and are known for. So, first off, Siegecraft, sitting with mixed at 33 reviews. Oof, not a good sign. Projection, First Light, very positive but with only 17 reviews. Stormboy, very positive with 107 reviews, getting better. And Gunscape, mostly positive with 72 reviews. Now, so far, this doesn't paint Blowfish in a negative light, but they really just don't get a lot of attention, do they? In fact, a lot of the games they publish are the same way, having absolutely zero coverage. Not only that, they all look like mobile games, and very expensive ones at that. But there is one more game we need to look at: Phantom Galaxies. And this game is not only their most played game with 722 reviews, but also their most hated, sitting at mostly negative. From the photos, it doesn't look too bad, but let's take a closer look. First off, this is still in early access, so we can add this to the list of games being actively developed by Blowfish for a total of 4. Then we got some premium currency there, and lastly, the reviews, much of which call the game unoptimized, have crappy controls, allegedly paying for reviews, and wait, what? A dead Web3 game? Hold on a second. That's right, this is an NFT game, with NFTs. Now, some of you might be familiar with this game and even with Blowfish Studios, because this game was actually already covered in John's video, Feed Me Crypto Slop, and the game wasn't great. So yeah, these are our developers for today's episode, and I'm starting to lose hope, but there's one more thing I want to look up, and that's their supposed award. The only thing I found was a 2019 New South Wales Export Award for Small Businesses, an award for excellence in the export of goods and services. In this case, selling video games overseas. I mean, that does technically make them award-winning, I guess. If they did win anything else, I couldn't find it, so let's move to Wonder Labs. Now, to be honest, I don't know how much involvement these guys have in the actual development of Wanderers, if they've left it mostly to Blowfish or if they're overseeing the design, which I would certainly hope so considering Blowfish's previous, or should I say current, NFT game. Their only listed game designer just links to their Twitter, so there really isn't much to talk about here. Their CEO, Nick Greenawalt, is a digital artist that had a sizable YouTube channel sitting at around 60,000 plus subscribers, but unfortunately turned to Web3 content. Having launched the Wanderers NFT Collection in 2021 in the midst of the NFT boom, he garnered over $2.3 million, and he would eventually veer towards making the Wanderers game with an additional $2 million of funding from Animoca Brands and GameFi Ventures. The Wanderers universe, though, seems to have actual effort and, dare I say, passion put into it. I mean, they made comics, a small film, an exploration puzzle, whatever that is. Honestly, it's a shame that it's associated with NFTs. If this game ends up being good, I'm probably just gonna be more sad than anything. But with that said, I have to actually play the game to find out, so let's play Wanderers. On launch, we get a warning that the game is in active development and currently unfinished. Fair enough, it is in early access. And of course, we need to create an account. Really wish these NFT games would incorporate Epic accounts already. Please stop making me create new accounts every single time. When we finally get into the game, we see our character, and she has probably seen better days. Anyways, this is the main menu, and it looks alright. I'm liking the sci-fi aesthetic. Seems for this build they added a new character, balancing, and a planet, so they're actually updating this game, which is good to see. You've got two options for modes: Normal, which is the main game, and Tournament, where you race against other NFT holders to score on the leaderboards and get Wonder Coin tokens as prizes. That said, I'm not going to be doing this mode since I, as a free-to-play, won't be able to keep up. Also, since I don't own an NFT, I wouldn't be eligible for the random rewards anyways. So, Normal it is. Now, I did mess up here and had previously activated a cutscene before recording, and it won't play again. But it is the trailer on the Epic Store page, so I'll just play that. Even though there isn't much actual animation, I appreciate the effort of adding this in. It adds to the immersion and fleshes out the world just a bit, so good on them. But we finally get to control our character. You have a shoot button, melee, and dodge, with the blue bars being stamina. Movement is WASD and feels alright. It all looks good and thematic, so I'm hopeful it's not just an asset flip. It actually looks like a video game. We've got an arsenal here, which are all the unlockable weapons. There's a decent amount of range weapons, but melee is a little lacking. You can unlock them by using data, which is a free currency, so don't worry. You could also only equip one ranged and one melee at a time. Next, we got RAM, which are the roguelite cards. You can equip them here so they can appear in the shop during a run. Unfortunately, I don't have any yet, but I have the option to buy them and... oh no. Clicking on the Buy RAM button links to their website where I can buy them through loot boxes. And unfortunately, you can only get them with real money. Oh man. That is a kick in the balls. But hopefully we can at least earn some during regular play. So, let's start a run. Since I don't have any RAM equipped, I get given basic ones. It doesn't play too terribly, it actually feels kinda fun. Guns have ammo and reloading, while melee attacks are free and generate ammo, so there's always a way to get some more if you run out. The environment has a lot of clutter though. It's hard to see where the enemies are, especially since they kind of blend in. But other than that, the game works. Every couple of stages, you have access to the shop. You can spend your currency here to purchase the RAM you equip, as well as buy temporary weapons, meaning they don't get unlocked in the base, they're only for this run. Also, unless I missed it, you can't upgrade the weapons themselves, which is odd. You can only refill ammo. As for RAM, they come in 6 categories, and you can equip 1 for each. You have a passive, active, dash, ultimate, mod, and boost. It's similar to something like Hades. You can also level them up by fusing the cards into them, which enhances their buffs, and this costs significantly less than buying them, and of course, the higher the level, the more cards needed. They introduce new enemies like gunmen or spearmen that have different movesets, and they also introduce resistances, either ranged or melee, so you need to alter your attacks to do full damage, which is cool. After some more stages, you get a boss fight. He has a couple different moves and it's all pretty interesting, but his attacks are so fast. There's barely even a wind up for some of them, and even the ones with telegraphs are super quick. Maybe I'm just not good, but it's real tough, and I just end up dying. Anyways, after a run, you get data. The free currency, and that's it. Unless you need a beta run to get a card pack, which I doubt, there doesn't seem to be a way to get new RAM cards as a free-to-play, and that is unfortunately the whole crux of this game. I have no ways of getting stronger unless I pay real-life money. This sucks. But before I go into their NFTs, I try out their new character, Calliope, and also try out a different world, Haze. Calliope is much slower than Vesna, the previous character, but has more HP at 500, and that's all the differences. But you know, early access, they might add more, whatever. The new world is a colorful planet with giant ass mushrooms. It looks pretty neat, and the enemies are a bit easier to see. Also, to my surprise, they actually have different enemies. It's not much, but for an NFT game, I'll take anything. Also, I have to say, the music sounds pretty good. I do get to the boss here and have the same issues. It is a different boss though, but they are just way too quick. They do however have completely different movesets, and I appreciate that. Now I did do a run where I do beat a boss, but it essentially just repeats and you only get more data as a reward. The enemies get way tougher and I don't feel like my free-to-play cards can keep up. So yeah, that's Wanderers the game. It has potential, but the NFTs absolutely destroyed for me. I can see some cool stuff here, but not being able to get new cards for free ruins its chances. Like, what is NFTs even doing for this game? It's completely unnecessary. It fucking blows. Anyways, speaking of their NFTs, let's have a look at them. Wander Labs have a ton of NFT collections. First off, we have the Wanderers, which I believe is the original NFTs that our CEO created during the NFT boom. These are all animations of a ship cockpit traveling through space. I'm sure these are all AI generated, but at least they look more appealing than an ugly ape. Lowest price goes for around $135, which beats out the Evolving Forest by a good $50. And the highest price goes for around $390,000, which I certainly hope is a joke price since it was only, in quotations, purchased for $2,500, which is still way too much for an AI GIF. Next up, we got the Wandernauts, and what is up with these NFTs having characters with skin peeling off of them and looking zombified? Is this a popular thing in the crypto space? Crypto bros sure have some weird kinks. The lowest price goes for $50 and the highest goes for $12,000. Next, we got a Planet Pass. No idea what these do, but apparently you can unlock the doorway to a realm of boundless possibilities, which I assume is just code for fuck all. These have to be the easiest ones to generate since they're all just spheres. Cheapest one is $67 and the most expensive is $2.6k. Owning a planet has never been more affordable. Finally, we have the RAM. And we have 2 sets to choose from, but don't worry, they're all loot boxes. The ones that the game links to are these ones: a single pool, a starter pack, and an advanced pack, for $5, $10, and $20 respectively. How gracious of them to have a fixed price. I also love how they say, buy these to help you perform better in the tournament, actively promoting pay-to-win garbage. At least they're honest about it though, I'll give them that. But we're not done. We still have the other set, the RAM Beta Bundle. I guess these were made way back when and are sold like your typical NFTs. But don't worry, these are actually different, in the worst possible way. Basically, these loot boxes contain more RAM and have a significantly, their words not mine, higher rarity chances than they will ever be in the future. I feel as though they're saying the quiet part out loud. Yeah, we're gonna artificially lower the chances in future boxes in perpetuity, so buy these ones while you still can. Jesus Christ, that is very brazen of them. Anyways, lowest price goes for $50, which is already more expensive than the advanced pack, and the highest priced is $4K, which funny enough is a tier 1 box. And that's all their NFTs. Seriously, who looks at these and goes, yeah, I wanna dump thousands of dollars on AI generated slop? Listen. Here's a tip: if you want to spend your life savings on a JPEG, download any of the countless gacha games out there and go nuts. At least those JPEGs are actually usable in-game and are made by actual designers. They also have the added benefit of not consuming a metric shit ton of energy. Anyways, let's get to my impressions. Okay, so I'm gonna be completely honest with you, of all the NFT games I've played, this might actually be the best one. Which is not really saying much, but there it is. Anyways, let's begin. Starting with the positives. The visuals and presentation. I enjoyed the sci-fi aesthetic. All the planets feel like alien worlds and the UI is clean. The models could do with a bit of work though. There's a cutscene. Even though they're mainly stills, they made one. It definitely adds to the world and I prefer it over not having one. The music sounds good, and they have multiple tracks as opposed to using a single piece like most bad games usually do. The gameplay is functional. There is thought put into the mechanics and the controls are simple and easy to understand. The dashing is fun. It's also very generous and you can cross pretty far distances with it. There's a fair amount of weaponry and they do handle at the very least sort of different from each other. Also, I appreciate that you don't actually lose anything when you die. Although I didn't have any NFT RAM, so I can't completely confirm that. I didn't have any performance or technical issues and I was playing on the highest settings. So, for an early access game, that's a good sign. There is enemy variety and each planet have actual different enemy types and designs, which is a pleasant surprise. The bosses are okay. They have interesting designs and different movesets, albeit only a couple, but at the very least it's not copy and paste. And lastly, there is a decent amount of RAM or cards to play around with. Now, the negatives. The most glaringly obvious one to me is the use of NFTs. Unless they change it, or maybe I just didn't see it, you cannot get NFT RAM without paying for them, and they're in loot boxes. If you don't have any, you'll only be given the weak basic RAM cards, and there will be a point where it becomes either impossible to progress, or at the very least becomes not fun to play because enemies get so much stronger. There is no other ways of progression. In other roguelites, you can upgrade your character's base stats or increase things like money gained to make subsequent runs easier. But in this game, you can only buy new starting weapons and RAM. So one of the major ways to progress is locked behind NFTs. Bosses are too quick. Many times I'll see a telegraph and almost immediately the boss had already launched their attack, and I can barely react to it. They also have an incredible amount of HP, at the very least with my cards. Maybe the NFT RAM makes them easier, but as a free-to-play, it feels pretty bad to fight against them. Especially since bosses can have resistances to certain damage types. I don't mind this with normal enemies, but with bosses, that can completely screw you up. If you put everything into say ranged damage and the boss is resistant to it, that's GG's. Next, the RAM capacity. You can only have one card per category, which is normally fine, Hades does this too, but the buffs here are not that great, at least the common ones. I think it would have been more fun if you had unlimited passive slots while actives could still be limited. And going back to resistances a bit, the card for ranged and melee damage I believe are on the same slot, so you'd have to pick one or the other. Whichever you don't pick will be significantly weaker, and if that happens to be the only thing that can damage an enemy, then good luck. Also, there doesn't seem to be a way to upgrade your weapons, so they themselves won't get any stronger. With enemies getting more and more HP with later waves, it'll start taking a long time to kill a single guy, on top of resistances, making them even more tanky if you chose the wrong ram card. Also, enemy damage increases significantly too. I think I was getting hit with 70s in one of my later runs. Melee range is incredibly short. There's no lunge or forward momentum when attacking, so you'd have to be real close just to hit the enemy. And by the time you do that, the enemies have probably already attacked you. Sound effects can do with some improving. The gun sounds okay, but the melee and the actual hit noises are lacking. This one could be a personal one, but there's too much clutter in the environment, with random trees sometimes blocking my camera and the enemies blending in way too much. There's also no indication of attacks when they're fired off screen. And that's all I can think of. Now, I understand this game is in early access and they could absolutely address a lot of these complaints, which I hope they do. But there's still one massive problem, and I'll say it using my rating. I give this game a ruined by NFTs out of 10. Honestly, I could see this game becoming better. They could fix the balancing, add new content, hell, add new progression systems. But the biggest issue is still the NFT loot box RAM crap. I just don't see what the point of it is and how it's beneficial to the game and the players, especially since there isn't a way to earn it through free-to-play means. This to me is the perfect example of a potentially decent game being ruined by NFTs. I would rather just pay a single price for the game and do away with all the NFTs. The game is clearly balanced around them, because if it wasn't, then I imagine the game would be way too easy with them. So at the end of the day, it just ruins the game. I said I was gonna be sad if this game ended up being okay, and I am. Wander Labs clearly put effort into the world and they seem to have a passion there, but they're being blinded by NFTs and crypto money. Look, maybe I'm being too generous. Maybe I am giving them too much credit and this is all just one big grift. But it's really a shame that this is the direction that the game and Wander Labs went with. I want games to be good. I want games to be fun. I don't want games with NFTs forced in. Anyways, that's the end of the video. It was a lot longer than usual, sorry about that, but I hope you enjoyed it and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya!